Hello everyone, I hope you are all doing well. Today I just wanted to share a little painting process with y'all because I finally got the chance to sit down and work on a painting. This is honestly like the first time this year I've actually taken the time to do this, and let me tell you, it was kind of an interesting experience. So first, I think I should give a little background as to why it's been so long and kind of how I got back into things. If you saw my previous video, you will know that I just moved, and let me tell you, this felt like the most adult move I think I have ever done. I've moved quite a few times, especially since graduating college, but this one was kind of a doozy. It took a lot longer than previous moves and had quite a few roadblocks. And I was pretty burnt out during that time. My brain was pretty much only focused on one thing, and I really put kind of anything creative or hobby related on the back burner because I just needed to get through moving and my regular day job. This was, of course, after a pretty busy holiday season, and if I'm being honest, I think the last time I did a more serious painting was probably mid-December, and that's a while, and so I've been feeling pretty rusty, so I've been doing a little bit of sketching and trying to warm up again, but it has been a little bit difficult to find the gumption to sit down and paint. I don't know why, but it just has felt kind of intimidating. And not going to lie, filming things that I paint does make it a little more difficult. I find that there's just so many things to focus on. For example, the camera, which I do apologize, does shake a little bit. I did not realize until after the fact that my tripod connected to my desk kind of wobbles a little bit, so gotta troubleshoot that for next time. Anyways, I digress. But filming definitely makes it a little bit more difficult and added an additional roadblock in my brain for actually sitting down. And in order to kind of bridge that gap and make myself feel a little bit less intimidated, I actually decided to paint something that I had painted before, a concept that I had really enjoyed and wanted to revisit. This is something that I've done many times in the past, reason being that sometimes I want to try something again with a higher skill level, but honestly, one of the best parts is getting to paint something, see your improvement, and also not have to think of what to paint. And just having that trying to think of a good idea pressure taken off. I often have a hard time thinking of what to paint, and a lot of it is because I put a lot of pressure on myself to come up with something interesting or unique. And not putting that pressure on myself made it a lot easier to sit down, and I could think more about the way I was going to approach the painting over what I was going to paint. So if you are also an artist and struggling to think of ideas, I honestly recommend revisiting old ones. And if you think about it, even some of the masters did this quite often, so it's really not that strange. I also want to take a minute to talk about the concept for this painting. So I originally painted this same concept, I want to say in 2020, fall for, I want to say like Peachtober or Inktober. some kind of art challenge. And I was looking back on my old artwork and I don't know, I felt like I was kind of resonating with it. Basically, it's a girl and she is dreaming kind of cartoon dream clouds, but the cloud is then raining on her and she's sleeping in a puddle. Now, you can read into that what you will. I kind of think of it as sometimes we can be our own worst enemies, especially in the ways that we think about ourselves. And it can kind of, you know, rain on our own parade. But who knows, maybe there is a better, deeper meaning. I just thought it was a fun concept and thought it would be a good way to warm up my painting muscles. As for the painting itself, I wanted to use familiar supplies. However, the first attempt of this painting, because there is always a first attempt, I don't know if I've ever painted anything for this channel and only done it once. And some of that is just because I learn a little something and then go back to redo it, perfectionism, yada yada yada. But I originally tried painting this on hot press paper. So if you don't know about the difference between hot press paper and cold press paper, hot press paper is a very smooth paper. There is no tooth, and I am not as familiar with painting on it, but I got a really nice pad for Christmas and I really wanted to try it out. But I really should have gotten to know the paper a little bit better because things came out streaky, didn't look very good, so I scrapped it and started over again with a paper that I know and love. It is heavyweight, it is cold pressed, and paint just flows really nicely on it. And when you're really heavy-handed on the water, as I am, it really holds up. So it was definitely worth starting over and using, in my opinion, better supplies, or at least ones that I'm more familiar with. And as for technique, I always go in with some washes for the general kind of colors that I have planned, and I try to use a wet on wet technique for this. And during this part, I usually don't mind if the colors bleed together because it kind of helps tie the piece together. And then slowly I add more dimension. Now the process is a little ahead of this point, but I also then painted around where I wanted the raindrops to be. This is called negative painting, and I could have done more layers of this, but I really just wanted to do one. I wanted a pretty dark background, something dark purple, dark blue, but almost black. And later you will see that I actually plan on using some colored pencils to add some more color and dimension and texture. I also did a few layers for the water. I wanted it to look kind of swirly, but I also wanted it to flow nicely on the page. So first I did a little bit of a wet on wet technique just to kind of lay out where the waves and swirls would be, and then I went in after the paper had dried to add a little bit more definition and a little bit of color variation. This is actually what I am doing as I speak on the screen. I also, though, wanted to leave some room for highlights or kind of where the reflection on the water would be. Now, I didn't think too much about lighting for this piece. I more just wanted it to look graphically interesting. And now for the colored pencils. This has really become a mainstay in my painting practice. I really like colored pencils for adding soft details and sometimes a little bit of extra dimension. I also really like them for adding highlights, especially against dark backgrounds. I don't know, I just love the texture of the lighter colored pencils on the dark paint. And that is actually what I will begin to do with the raindrops here in a second. But for now, I was just adding a little bit of extra detail to the skin and the clothing. This is also how I do the line work later. I kind of do a combination of fine liner and colored pencil, but the colored pencil is nice when I want to keep the line work softer or just when I want more colors to choose from. I find that it just helps customize it a little bit and help keep it cohesive. This is kind of where everything sort of came together for me. Now looking back, I do see maybe some edits I would make or things I would do differently next time, but even some of the things I didn't plan on doing, like adding the little sprinkles of rain in the back with colored pencil, like the really thin lines, I feel like it turned out really well. I do feel like it might be missing something. Not quite sure what. I for some reason kept wanting to draw a little frowny face in the cloud, but I thought that might be just a little bit too cartoony, but I don't know. Let me know down below what you think I could have added. And as per usual, I do a lot of the line work off screen because my face needs to be about 2 inches from it, and that just is not a joy to film. But with that, we are almost ready for the reveal. And here we have it, the finished product. It was definitely nice to get back into painting, and now that I've dipped my toes back in, I'm excited to maybe tackle some more difficult illustrations. I definitely want to do more traditional work this year, and I really want to grow myself as an artist. I want to focus less on social media and more on creating better art. And with that, I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.